morning, everyone.
Morning. Good morning.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and basically said, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing great. Doing great. It's just people, places, and things are driving me crazy." And they said, it's not the elephants, it's the mosquitoes. And what I want to talk about this morning, I think it's pretty common knowledge, and we've all talked about it before, but sometimes for me it just helps to be reminded of it. That idea of not the elephants, it's the mosquitoes that get us. It's not the really big stuff, it's just that doesn't stop, that after a while gets to us. Meaning, try not to let the little things bother you. And I'm not so good at that. I don't know about you guys, but if I have the idea that I want to make guacamole, and I go to the store, and there are no ripe avocados, get a little bit of a facial tick. Just a little bit of, it's like, why am I angry in the vegetable section of the Kroger? Or someone cuts us off in traffic. I mean, that's one of those things that kind of gets on our nerves. I know a lot of folks, and I've experienced this myself, sitting in a restaurant if the service is slow. I was with a friend of mine the other day, and was like watching how slow everything was and how inefficient it was. He was just stewing. This is a management problem. This is a management problem. Come on, we're just waiting for a burger, man. Just let it simmer down, okay? Have you been to the DMV lately?
No.
Not so much anymore having to stand and choose the wrong line at the bank because it's so electronic, but I tend to find if there are 3 lines to choose from, I'll look at the shortest one and I'll get in line there, and then the other ones start to zoom. I get in the wrong line. Mild irritant, not a big thing. But this compiling of little bitty things in the day can really make me a little cranky. Does anybody else have that? Please tell me I am not the only one.
You're not.
I am not the only one. I think this is spiritual growth when I get to the place where the little bitty things are bothering me. So that idea of let the little things go, right? And I loved Irma Bombeck there, because I know in our household, one of our, my wife and I we've been together for 8 years now, been married for 5, and I know that's just a very small time in this grand scheme of marriage, but we're still trying to figure things out because I'm really messy and she's not. And so I'm always telling her, just let the little things go.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong thing to say, right? Wrong thing to say. So I'm constantly working on that, but the idea of us having a neat house, okay, it's kind of a big thing that takes a lot of little things, requires little things, but I love that Irma Bombeck said nobody ever died from an unmade bed. Okay, that's not a thing I should say too, when my wife is upset about the house being messy, but there is a flip side to this though. Not letting the small things bother you, which is, it's amazing what good comes from taking care of the little things. Little things make a difference. You sew up a hole in the screen and the mosquitoes don't bother you. For a lot of us, our tendency is to not sew up the screen, but then get a bug zapper or something, we don't take care of the little things. But in our household, if I get a good night's sleep and my wife gets a good night's sleep, then we tend to be less cranky. Just something as small as getting a good night's sleep. I can do that, and I can eat healthier food. Because when I don't eat healthy food, I feel like I've got to take a nap for hours. Eating healthy food makes a difference. Now, I kind of launched into this and I intended to take just a moment of silence for the uncertainty and the suffering that's going on now in the world all around. And in particular, what Doug mentioned, this news that would bomb Iran. I want to be informed. Poppy, there's nothing you can do to help me. You just need to sit there. I want to be informed. But I find if I try to stay informed all the time, I start getting a little bit of a facial tic too. It starts making me angry. So I've just kind of unplugged. So if I turn off the news, I find the small thing. I can get through the day a little bit easier. I don't wake up looking at my phone news. And dirt therapy for me is good too. If I will take just a moment, plant some flowers, plant a few vegetables, or weed the bed, that little thing, I don't know, maybe it's a control issue. I can get rid of these flowers, I can get rid of these weeds, I can clean this little area up, and I feel better about things somehow. That I just weeded my flower bed. It's a small thing that makes a big difference. I find the same thing when I read a new book. I can be informed in a different way. I can expand what I know about the world. Also, if I take the time to try to write a poem, or write in my journal, or do something creative, something small, there seems to be a bit more peace in my life. I talk to people all the time about prayer and meditation. I'm not talking about that Santa Claus prayer where we wish for a red bike. It's more of that prayer of just sending attention out into the universe, wanting to be different, wanting to be better, wanting to be more of service, and then thinking quietly and letting information come in my meditation, just being still and being quiet. Going for a walk. All of these things are simple things to do. They're small things that can make a huge difference. And like my favorite songwriter said, you know, you blow up your TV and you throw away your papers. You know what the next line is? Does anybody know? Throw away your papers, move into the country and build a home, plant a little garden, and you eat a lot of peaches, and you try to find Jesus on your own. The simplicity of that is so well capturing what I'm trying to explain. Now that's for us individually. What about the community? The community being kind of our families and where we live. Because I don't know if has anybody ever heard of Zig Ziglar, the sales guru? I can remember when I was traveling the roads of South Louisiana selling lawnmowers, listening to Zig Ziglar talk about a cat kicking world. Have you ever heard that? He said what happens is the boss is in a bad mood. So he chews on, he just starts talking to dad and telling him all the things he's not doing and things he should be doing better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And dad comes home and mom's just perfectly fine till dad gets home. And he's kind of upset from what the boss said. And now Dad starts picking on things mom's not doing well. Finding fault with mom. Well, mom, without realizing it, starts finding fault with the oldest son. Not cleaning his room properly, not doing something right. And the oldest son, as a little brother, he's gonna pick on him. Little brother doesn't have anybody to pick on, so he goes outside and sees the cat. Cat kicking work. Any time along the way that I can interrupt any of that with my small actions makes a big difference. Like Aesop said, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Small things, helping others, helping neighbors. You know, Doug, if you let her off the leash, I bet she'll lie right here. Let's do that. Let's see what happens. Sorry for the disruption. You're not. Sit down right here.
She has a hard time being in the leadership place.
She's
It's okay.
okay, I'll just ignore it and she's
Yeah.
gonna calm down. Sorry.
No, she's free to walk around. She's okay.
Okay, she's all right. All right. Thank you for being accommodating. I know she's not supposed to be here.
It's okay.
I'm
We all
halfway.
look-
I'm
we all look
halfway.
dogs, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted.
Just as you did just then
What's that?
with her,
Yeah.
So
it's a small thing.
it is a very small thing that makes a big difference to her. But the idea here is that, as Richard Rohr talks about in his Falling Upward, that shift from me to we is something that's an ongoing maturing process for all of us. Helping others has a ripple effect, and it couldn't be more important than now. And I mean things like being kind to the waitress and recognizing the humanity of the person that takes my change when I go to the convenience store. Little bitty things, not to mention how we are with our spouse or our children, our coworkers. So that's something to paint there, this idea of our kindness individually out in the community and how we can make a difference. But then I think about us, this circle of people here, the small things we do as a group. We're like tiny drops in the ocean, each of us. And we come here, we think about going to Pride Day. We think about how we collectively support each other. Now we're able to bring that out into the world. There's a great African quote that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. My message this morning is simple. It's the simple, easy things that make a difference. And an incredibly confusing and painful, and for many of us, with good reason, I think, scary world right now, filled with uncertainty. How do we navigate this? For me, the community that we have, support we offer each other, the intellectual and philosophical agreements and disagreements that we have, though, collectively support us as a group, but also we as a group create ripples out in the community. And that's really what I wanted to share this morning. That you don't want to sweat the small stuff. Let that look.
Thank you for your.
Wait a minute, sweat and small stuff, she's chased her. You have the floor. Go ahead. We don't want to, we don't want to sweat the small stuff, but if we pay attention to it, and I said, this is something that we all know, I just need to be reminded of it, and that was my thought this morning, first just all, so that it's the small stuff, it's performing dogs, it's anything that brings the community together. And I'll stop there and conclude. I appreciate that reading you did by Dorothy Day's quote about, what's the use taking the one small step we can? Well, because nobody has the right to not do that. We must. It makes a big difference to the people closest to us, and then to this community, and then the community of. So I'll turn it back to you.
Yes.